As the crew continues to work on various science activities, there's a team on the ground that helps them. They're located in Huntsville, Alabama at the Payload Operations Integration Center at the Marshall Space Flight Center. Let's join Lori Meggs there to learn more about one of the leaders of this science team. Lori?
We talk a lot about the research that goes on itself, but we don't say so much about the folks that you see behind me. They work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to accomplish those science goals, and it's very fascinating and very interesting and very hard work. So we want to learn more about it today. Joining me now is Stephanie Dudley. She is a Payload Operations Director here at Marshall. And Stephanie, you are a flight control leader, and we thought it'd be interesting to see what it's like maybe to live a day in the life in your shoes.
Yes, so we work here 24/7, as you said, and we're responsible for all of NASA's science on the International Space Station. So the flight control team you see here, we're responsible for actually talking to the crew, sending commands to enable the resources that the payloads, the experiments need, getting the data and video to the ground, making sure the crew can find the tools that they need to do the experiments. And so the Payload Operations Director, POD, is the leader of the flight control team that you see here. And we work very closely with the flight director in Houston and the Columbus flight director and the Japanese flight director to do NASA science.
It's exciting work. We know it takes the crew special touch, but it also takes the work of you guys. Tell us a little bit more about the functions in this room and how you help with these experiments. You've got a lot of experiments going on now. It could be a record-breaking week, I hear?
Actually, yes. We are in the middle of what will be a record-breaking week for crew hours to conduct science. So, for instance, this week we have BASS going on, the burning and suppression of solids. That's a really fun experiment. The crew actually gets to ignite spacecraft materials, and then we see how can we extinguish the flames, because that's really important in space. And Reed really loves this experiment. And so one of the things that he likes to do is ask us, hey, I've freed up my day, my afternoon. Can I do some more BASS? So that's one of the fun problems that we have as a pod, is getting all the resources we need so that we can do more science for the scientists, and also, accommodate the crew's request to do more.
Yeah, it helps to have a gung-ho crew like that.
It does.
And everything goes as planned, right?
No, not always. Sometimes, for instance, the scientist sees a result that is unexpected, and that's a good thing. You don't always get the result that you expect in your laboratory at home. So it
kind of throws a wrench in what you guys do there,
well,
right?
Right. So it changes the course of the future planning that we do. Sometimes things just don't go as planned. For instance, we can't find the right tool, or the mating of a QD quick disconnect is difficult, so the crew has trouble and we have to work them through that. So we're always managing that timeline. If the crew runs behind, we're working with the flight directors and our partners to figure out what that's left in the day can be, for instance, moved to another day, so we can get this really important thing done right now.
So that's really when you do your best work. But you say that we talk about planning and planning and planning. Tell us, today, if we were planning for the science today, when would we be planning for that?
So we actually started planning for today a year ago.
Wow.
So a lot of work went in from a year ago to actually what we're doing today. So we've got BASS today, we have some ultrasounds later, ocular health experiment that looks at changes in the eyes of the astronauts, because that's really a risk to long duration spaceflight. We're doing a colloid experiment, all kinds of stuff that we're doing today we started planning a year ago.
And some planning going on right now here at Marshall, right?
Yes, actually we have over 200 scientists, engineers, flight controllers from around the world here in Huntsville at Marshall Space Flight Center this week. We have a twice yearly meeting. We all get together and we plan for the coming expeditions. So we're specifically targeting the one that starts in September later this year, but also looking at a year out, and how can we define the collaboration now so that the operations go smoother when we actually get to the day that we execute it.
Yeah, so these are folks that will have their payloads flying in the fall.
Yes.
All right, and you tell them your processes too. They have to learn all of that,
right?
And we just hit a milestone, 5,000 days, right?
Yeah.
So that's busy work.
5,000 continuous human presence on the ISS on July 12th. So that's a big deal. That's a long time. And we've been here 24/7, even on Christmas, ever since.
And still will be. Stephanie, thank
Yes.
you for joining us. Stephanie actually shared what it's life is like as a pod on a Lab Aloft blog, so you can check that out online. And there's the URL address, blogs.nasa.gov/ISS_science_blog.